Okay.
Welcome to the second official episode of the Bronzie Breakdown. I am Pendlehaven. With me are Temporary Maniac, Daisy, and our good friend and special guest, Sulking Panda. Why don't you go ahead and start us off, Temp?
Uh, all right. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Today we're gonna be going over 3 days worth of Rumble Stage matches, for MSI, Mid-Season Invitational for League. Currently, the teams that are in the Rumble Stage are EG, G2, PSG Talon, RNG, Saigon Buffalo, and T1. They're doing double round robin. Best of ones and the top four teams advance to the semifinals slash stage 3. The games have been games.
Yeah.
BB gamers, buddy.
They do be. So between our last podcast and the current podcast, there's been about 18 games, I think, maybe more, with only 2 days left to determine the top 4. Not including tiebreakers. That's if everything goes smoothly, and it definitely is going kind of crazy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, just to give a reminder, the top 4s. My top 4s were T1, RNG, G2, EG. Penn was RNG, T1, G2, Saigon. Daisy's was also RNG, T1, G2, and Saigon. And for Panda, Sulking Panda, and or Curtis, the mini names we may be calling him, his are T1, RNG, G2, EG. So 2 of the top 4s, we're split. We're 50-50 on the top 4s between the group. So it's been very, very interesting for sure. But we thought we'd have a little fun on this first on the second podcast
At my expense.
where we're gonna have a little game. I can't remember what the game. We didn't really come up with the name yet, so you don't have the stream up or anything, do you, Daisy?
At the moment I don't.
Okay, cool.
let's
Because I
see,
pulled
we
up. No,
could,
don't pull it up. I'm currently
I'm not.
I'm showing the
Yeah, yeah,
lineup that we're gonna have you take a whack at.
Well,
So
I'm just gonna say possible name for the game, right?
Mhm.
We could call it Fog of Draft.
Fog of Draft.
It's a fog of war for the person guessing. You got no
It
clue what
is.
the hell's in there.
It is the fog of war going on. You don't know who's gonna come out of those bushes to gank you. You don't know if the Nocturne's gonna shut off the lights, or
Hey,
what's that?
Or if maybe they've got like a pre-planned play. Your entire team is coming, and there's a freaking Baroness, whatever her face is, in the back, and just like all of them waiting to attack you.
I think that's fair, and his lifeline could just be the Farsight ward. It's fine.
It's on cooldown permanently.
All right. I don't know if you have the. Do you have the lineup pulled up at all, Curtis? That we were talking about. Do you want to give them the old picks?
I do not have a line pulled up, but I could definitely get it.
Say if
But
you want.
did you want to go over his lifeline that he might have? Or are we actually doing that? I think
Oh, yeah.
that's
No,
fair.
no.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
So we will. So we're gonna give you. We'll give you a lifeline. Okay. I think there. I think it's only gonna be like one lifeline. We're only gonna at the beginning. We're only gonna give you the picks. Okay.
Okay.
Actually, we'll give you 2 lifelines, just in case there's some wild, wacky pick. Okay. So, one lifeline is going to be you asking us what lane a specific person went to.
Okay.
And the second lineup is we will give you, how many of the bands do we want to give them? Like 3, like a couple each side.
I would say we give the first 6 bands, like do it in the same round robin they do. So you get your first 6 bands, and
Okay.
then your final lifeline would be the last 4
4.
bands.
Yeah.
I mean, I would take just day over anything else because you told me I could watch 2 games. That was what was on the
so
actual
it was
one.
you could watch a couple and then you took it
Yeah.
literally.
Well, what am I supposed to take it as? I watched 2, and then he's like, "Oh, you could have watched a day." Why didn't you just say that? A couple games is 2.
Yeah,
Like,
you could
that's
watch
just
day one.
normal.
Day one was a good set of games. Day one was good.
I did. I sped watched the highlights afterwards after you said that. I
Well,
was like, "God damn it."
the funny thing is too, like we can give you the day and stuff, but it still doesn't help you because
I do know what teams played.
yeah,
I just
all
don't
of
know
them
what
played.
they played. Well, right, but there are certain teams that quite possibly are going to be drawn more towards other picks.
This is true, and you potentially see that in this draft.
All right, and I think we did buy enough time. I do have picks up, so.
Obfuscation complete.
Okay,
All right, Daisy, you ready?
No, but go ahead.
and you can tell him. Do we tell him blue side, red side, or do we?
No, I just say I give him one team, and then I'll give him another team, and we'll see whether or not he gets it.
Do we start with bands and then go into picks?
No, we go picks first.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like
the
bands
bands
give up
are
way too
your
much.
lifelines because there's a band or two that gives it away. For
Okay,
one of the
that's fair.
teams. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right, Daisy. On one side, we have picked in this order: Vayne, Viego, Twisted Fate, Vlad, Senna. For the other team, picked again in this order: Scion, Graves, Ari, Ezreal, Bard.
The fog has set in. His
Yeah,
mind.
no, the fog has been here. Okay. God damn it. All right, I guess.
Does he get partial
Lifeline
credit if
number
you can
one.
pick one?
I'll give him some
I guess-
credit. Yeah.
Because the thing is that, like, Vayne is like an. It was in that order too, correct? But it
It
was
wasn't
picked?
how it was picked. That is
Oh,
the
okay. It's just
the top to bottom.
okay. So
So you know what the
Vayne
matchups
top
are.
lane is what I Vayne top lane is what I figured.
No.
Where it comes in is kind of weird then.
Yeah,
'Cause it would
this
have to
isn't
be- it
how
would have to be a
this isn't the
counterpick,
order
so-
that it got picked in. This is the actual laning assignment.
Okay. Because it's Vayne into Scion for sure.
Yeah, that gave you lane assignments on that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Okay. So I got my first lifeline whether I wanted it or not. Nice.
Mhm.
I'll take it.
I mean, it's like a freebie.
Yeah.
I mean, next time we can
I don't
really
feel
make
like
it
this
interesting and go.
I don't feel like that in this particular
and go
game. I
pick
don't think
order.
that helps you much.
Yeah, we can definitely go pick order in the next game too.
I would say that honestly sounds.
Yeah, and there's an Ari on the other side.
Yeah. It sounds like either a. It sounds like it's got to be either China or Korea versus one of the smaller regions.
So what are the teams you calling?
I'm gonna go RNG and Saigon.
Okay, we will give you partial credit on that. You got one of the teams.
Well, that.
Not gonna tell you which one.
Yeah. Obviously.
Now, what team do you put with what comp? This is where you can get another point.
Yeah.
So far you have you have one out of 2 points, so you're 50%. You can stay 50% if you pick the correct
I am
lineup.
gonna say it would be because I'm focusing on top lane picks here that I'm thinking. I'm gonna say it's probably Saigon with the Scion pick, and it would be RNG with the Vayne.
Daisy, 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 Daisy.
Do you want to give him the bands? Because I feel like that.
Do you want the bands, and then we'll let you. So as of right now, you're not looking good for points this week.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. I get you.
Now, would you like to hear the first 6 bands?
You know, you can give me the 6 bands, and then you can tell me who, so I can just understand that I'm an idiot.
Okay,
We'll just
so
go from there.
1, I will give you the Vayne was blue side, and the Scion was red side.
What the crap?
The Scion was red side.
Okay.
So blue side bands, first
Wait,
3.
the Barb was the last pick?
Well, I'll have to pull up that VOD so I can give you what the pick order was, unless Penn or Curtis want to pull that
So
up.
I can tell
if
you
you don't pick
yeah.
if you don't pick Vayne in the final 2 of the draft blue side, then you're trolling.
So the first 3 bands blue side were Diana, Callista, Pike. Red side were Tristana, Wukong, Lucian.
Okay.
Now, do you want to throw another contending name into that bush?
Because the thing is this: if it's Pike, there are 2 different teams that play Pike well enough to just get a ban from blue side straight up.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is G2,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other one would be T1
Mm-hmm.
for Pike.
True. Now, if
And
you
if
were
that's the-
paying attention to your top lane matchup, who would be more likely to pick the Scion?
The person most likely to pick the Scion would probably be. Would have to be Zeus then, wouldn't it? T1. Because I do not see Broken Blade picking Scion.
I'm sorry, Daisy, but Broken Blade did pick Scion. It was Saigon versus G2.
Really? That's wild.
I actually have the pick order up right now. So
That is wild.
it started with blue pick 1 was Viego. Red picks 1 and 2 were Ari and Graves. Blue picks 2 and 3, Twisted Fate, Senna. Then red pick 4 was the Bard. Then 4 or 5 for blue side, Vayne.
Wait. What was 3 on blue side then? Because you gave me the first 2. You didn't give me 3.
It was TF Senna. He said TF Senna. So
No.
No,
TF
Ezreal.
Senna's-
Sorry,
TF Senna's
Ezreal.
blue
Ezreal
side. Red
was
side.
red
Side 3
Yeah.
is Ezreal.
Ezreal.
Okay.
sorry, my bad. Blue picks 4 or 5 were Vayne,
Bard
Vlad, and then last pick
from Vlad.
Scion.
Yeah, they picked.
They
They
picked it
blind
into
picked.
it?
Yeah.
Well,
Why
they
would you pick,
they
why
might have
would you
been
pick
assuming it was
Scion
into the Vlad.
Vayne? And how though? Vayne is
So,
there. There's no
yeah.
way that's not doesn't just get flexed up immediately.
Well,
But I mean, they
say,
won
that
either
was the
way. But
counter to
like,
the Vlad, so.
but I with Vayne on the table, why would you? I just don't know why you pick the Scion. That's what I don't understand. Because Vlad can easily go mid just fine, and be fine.
You argue the
Well,
point
they
that
had already
can't play
picked
the Vayne top.
TF. They had picked TF first round, so Vlad would not have gone mid with the Vlad Vayne pick for your final 2.
What the?
So
Well,
maybe they were sitting there. I feel like it was a Saigon
That was just bad.
thing from the beginning. Because to be fair, the Senna did help Vladimir in the earlier stages of the game. But it is. I mean, Broken Blade.
So what was it? Was it Vlad bot then? Is that
Yeah,
what
it was
they wanted to
Vlad.
do?
Shogun
Senna
played
bot.
Vlad.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Broken Blade did not get destroyed. He stayed even. He did exactly what he needed to do with the Scion into the Vayne.
That feels like just a bad Vayne player then. So, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter like when you outclass your competition well enough, but that should have been unplayable.
And well, it became unplayable because that is the game that started the let's destroy Froggy for the rest of MSI Rumble play. That every team is now doing to Saigon.
Keep him a tadpole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the game that sparked it because Yankos and Caps, I believe, killed Froggy like 3 to 4 times in the first 6 minutes of that game.
So, and I will say, by the way.
So I just do want to chime in here because I wanted to look it up. In a defense for Daisy saying that I would not pick the Scion into Vayne, I can say Hashmid Saigon did play Vayne top 4 times already this regular season.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a pick that was not like, oh, they wouldn't put it up there.
Well, I was kind of surprised that. That just seems really, really weird that you would pick
Almost
Scion
disrespectful.
with. Yeah, well, it is disrespectful, but again, like, I mean, I guess you don't really have to respect the people that you're playing against, and for the most part, that's usually when drafts like this come out, anyways, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, at that point, Saigon was already 0-3, so.
But like, I figured that you had to have maybe, like, either Bard for me was either a final 2 on blue, or it was a last pick on red into something that they saw. So it really confused me when. That's a weird draft. That's a really weird draft.
Yeah.
Well, if we gave you a common one to choose, so.
I mean, if you gave me a common one to choose, it would be way harder to actually pick teams.
Well, I think our one rule was we tried to pick something that was not Ari based because it
Yeah, we're like no
pretty much
Ari,
screamed
no
RNG.
Tristana.
Yeah. No, I mean
that was our only stipulation.
That actually
no
that
Ari,
did
no
surprise
Tristana.
me because it felt like if someone was going to pick Scion in this game, I did not expect it to be G2. But I guess they just didn't.
Yeah.
How do you not expect the Vayne top? I just thought that one.
No, I think they
it doesn't-
expected the Vayne top once they saw the Vlad.
Dude, why would you pick it? Like, the Scion makes no sense.
Because Broken
Regardless,
Blade.
it worked.
Yeah, Broken Blade.
No.
Said,
That's beside the point. Because, like, here's my problem with that, right? My problem is this: like, against bad people, yeah, that's fine. But like, I think even then, like, if you're a professional team, you should still aim to pick the correct, take the correct pick there.
Well,
And
the
Scion
other
is not the correct pick into Vayne.
So by the way, if
In
you
You're fine.
G2 with their caps recaps with caps.
Mm-hmm.
If you've caught any of those,
No.
Broken Blade subtly will jokingly flame his coach for picking bad lane matchups. Because and that's probably, his coach was like, yeah, it's gonna be bad, but we'll just win the team fights, so who gives a shit how your laning phase goes.
You should care.
Because Broken Blade
if-
will say shit. He's like, yep, we another day of losing lanes from the coach. And it's like,
because the problem is that, like, Scion becomes diveable with Vayne existing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not.
Yeah, which
like,
is
there's a reason why against good competition you should never pick this, and I don't think that it's wise to pick it even if you're just like, you don't think that the enemy can capitalize on it. I think it's a really poor mentality to have, and it will affect you later on if you don't pay attention.
True, which is why in the first 6 to 10 minutes of the game, you had Caps and Yankos shut down the Twisted Fate to prevent them from wanting to go top lane to shut down the Scion.
I'm convinced, by the way, from this this tournament that you don't need to shut down Twisted Fate. Because Twisted Fate has been so, even in the games he's won, has been so lackluster, by the way.
I'd say depending on who
I
it's
am
on, yeah.
unimpressed. I'm unimpressed with the TF within the current meta. There's been so much priority placed on it, but it's honestly been pretty terrible. Whether it's been operated by Faker, whether it's been operated by Xiaohu, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. It's been pretty bad.
Oh, yeah,
Like you
for
look
sure.
at the actual effect that it's had on the scope of the game, and it really hasn't at all.
That's I'm similar with Keenan right now. Kenan.
No, I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is
Kenan
how
has
many
looked
times
so
was Ken.
bad in a lot of the
No,
games
he
too.
hasn't.
Yes.
The reason he's looked bad is like a lot of the times he's been paired with TF. And TF has done absolutely nothing. He doesn't absorb pressure. He doesn't exert pressure. He just exists. Like how many times do you see like the team fights like halfway through where okay, well if we had some actual damage we'd probably be okay. And the Twisted Fate did nothing to allow for him to do anything in the side lane to begin with. The teams are terrible at playing around the Kennen, with the exception of a few that have been pretty decent at it. But like every single late game team fight, if you have a little bit more damage out there, the Kennen it literally nearly single-handedly wipes so many of these people, just like so many team fights by himself. I really think that this pick is way better than it's been able to be shown because people are using it badly. They're not pairing it with proper things in the team composition to be able to use what he brings. Like I go back and I look at I don't know how many different of the Kennen ultis on moments that were really decisive, and the Kennen ultis are insane. But like someone either the Rel is like single-handedly losing a fight somewhere by wandering off, away from the team, believing that they're tanky, or you just have no damage aside from like AD carry and the Kennen who can't get into the fight until further on in because of other issues within the draft. I think the Kennen is an incredibly strong pick, but like you can't just pick it.
It
And
is a strong pick,
it's by
but
itself.
like you said, because of what they're pairing it with, it does not look good. So therefore, for me, until it starts getting paired with something that's better than the TF, it's not going to be a good pick. Take something else over the Kennen then. Just because you have a potential to TF ulti up, let Kennen stun it, and you just get this stun chain and kill. You're not getting
don't
it,
pair
so
it with
quit.
don't pair it with TF.
So quit picking
stop.
it. But
Well, yeah,
they're
quit
not
picking,
going to
I would
not
say
pick
quit picking
it.
the TF instead of quit picking the Kennen.
Yeah, but nobody's
like
like
actually
if
use other
TF
picks.
is up, like there's so many teams that have priority over the TF. It's like RNG
Yeah, but it's
with
useless.
Ari.
It's so bad. Like the Ari is different because like the Ari is like so much more useful than TF is. So much more useful than TF is.
I'd say TF has
Has
similar.
uses, but they're niche. Like the problem is you have to have someone that you can actually shut down. If you can't shut down someone on the other side, like if you're not getting any advantages from it, then it's useless. Like when you pair it up with Kennen, like what is Kennen gonna go take over a side lane? No, he's not. Like you want to play side lanes if you're playing Twisted Fate, and like who's playing side lanes with Twisted Fate in this tournament? In this entire tournament, have you seen someone effectively play side lanes while using Twisted Fate? Not a single person. Like the priority on this champion is unwarranted for what they're actually using it for.
The arguments there on both sides. I don't think either champion is put in a position in which they can excel,
Yeah,
and it makes both of them look bad.
they both look terrible.
Yeah,
But I mean, I just like if you go for team fight compositions, then because like you're doing something similar with Kennen that you're doing with Vlad.
So I can't see what the Kennen's been paired with. But Kennen at MSI is 0-5, and Twisted Fate right now is 7-10.
I'm just saying that what you're trying to use Kennen, what they're trying to use Kennen for, they need to actually use Kennen for like what it's designed for. I do think that it is a good pick within the current meta if you set up the comp around it, right? But it's like you're one of your final 2 picks. People picking it early in the draft, I think, has been woefully terrible.
Yeah,
I think the main point here, like if you sat there and you put Kinnan with say the Yasuo Diana combo, it would excel. If you put TF with Tryndamere, that would probably excel. It's just those combinations aren't being seen.
Yeah, they're just not doing it. And like if you're gonna pick either of these picks, and then you're just gonna ignore what they're designed for, I don't know what the point is. It's been like honestly the games I saw from day one.
It
were
is funny
bad.
because currently the highlights that are being
yeah, I threw up the day one.
are a lot of Kinnan just repeatedly dying.
Well, to be fair, a lot of those Kennons also have been going like small regions up against larger ones, and then the pressure exerted against the Kennon to keep them down was adequate.
I
Any
mean,
sort
this
of
is
response against
T1
that was
versus G2,
terrible.
and G2 utterly destroyed the cannon.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was really far behind. I don't think that helped it. It's just very fitting that I'm just watching. It's
I
like
just like
repeated death.
I just think that how people used to play Kennon and how they used to play around Kennon was way better than what they're doing now, because he's been out of the Kennon's been out of the meta for so long.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say that Kennon's not a good top laner. The teams that she's being played with
Are just bad.
are not good per
Yeah.
se. But at the same time, I don't think a lot of the like meta picks really fits with her in the game.
I mean,
So,
she'll do.
So the arguments there, just don't pick either.
I mean, yeah, I
Currently.
would say don't pick either. Especially don't pick them early, like because if you don't have the capability of, hinging your comp around these 2 picks, then I would not pick them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, did we ever get? I don't remember now off the top of my head. Did we get a Jarvan Kennen game ever?
Jarvan Cannon, I don't think so.
'Cause
No.
I don't think we ever did.
No, because the top pick right now is Wu and Viego for jungle.
Right, and that's great. But like,
And if they're not getting banned, nobody's gonna go to Jarvan because they're gonna go, okay, I'm just gonna go Diana, or I'm gonna go,
Jarvan hasn't picked it all in the Rumble stage.
or I'm
yet.
gonna go Lee Sin. Like everybody's just trying to go
like and
extreme
that's wild.
comfort.
Like you have Kennen, and you don't have Jarvan. Does that make any sense to anyone?
I think he's only actually been picked 4 times throughout the entire tournament so far.
Yeah, but like if you have prio on Kennen, like of any type, wouldn't
I think
you
the
then
issue
flex
is
prio
like
over to like Jarvan?
I think the issue is too. We're sitting here going, they are picking the Kennen early, but they're picking the Kennen after their jungler. They're not. They're just going, oh, this should be okay because their team wants to team fight us. Well, if you're just gonna keep getting caught all the time, then it's not gonna matter.
It's just weird that like these people are like these champions are being picked in spots where there's nothing to be done about it. Because I keep seeing TF get picked, and there's literally no other person in side lanes. Like he becomes a team fighting TF, and you're like, why? What was it, the EG game where they picked TF? JoJo was like, what? He had 2 assists at, it was it against? I'm trying to think, who was it against here? Oh, and yeah, that was the game that Inspired just went off on. It was the Jax game from Impact, but they never played towards the Jax ever in the history of ever. And Inspire just wound up carrying on the Viego.
Yeah.
Like that one I actually think was picked fine, but then they played it terribly.
Yeah,
Like,
the Jackson
he was
of the
never
Gwen.
in a fight ever. Yeah.
Which we saw that today, and we actually got to see the Jax just smoke the Gwen. It's been nice. So I will say, to kind of teeter towards top lane. Gwen. Dude, Gwen has been a monster. And it's been very interesting to see everybody's choices on counters or someone who can go even with Gwen in lane and then just get slaughtered because the team goes, oh, you thought you were going to be good? All right, we're just going to gank you a lot.
Yeah.
We're going to show up and ruin your game.
It doesn't help that counters that people had said were decent. Things like
Vlad.
Vlad especially. I think again this is one of those things where I just believe that the champion's being mispiloted. And I can say that because of my high aptitude for the game, but it
Play Zillion top.
I'm just saying that
Now we go
it
Zillion
does
jungle.
look it does not look like they have anything more than a basic refresher on how Vlad's combos and everything works. Vlad hasn't looked good either, even though I think the pick, like in theory, should work fine if it's piloted to a decent level. I think we're just seeing the recency of people playing Gwen shining through on the champion way more than we are seeing what the champion's actual strengths and weaknesses are.
I think it's because Gwen has more versatility on summoner spells than everybody else does. Because she has her, constant dash on her E. And so she doesn't have to take the flash. She can be like, oh, I'm against the Vlad. Let me take Ignite. I'm going to get my stacks, keep chunking you down. Oh, you can hit that Q? Okay, I'm going to hit you with this Ignite. Okay, you're dead. Like, I think it's also, it's not just they don't know how to, like, they don't know how to pilot the Vlad as much as they should. I just think the versatility of Gwen is just too high.
I don't know. I like if we see the matchup more, I might be swayed that direction. But
after today,
Vlad wasn't being played. Vlad wasn't even being played until Rumble stage, and Gwen's been getting played all year.
Yeah. After today, I don't think we'll see the Vlad against the Gwen.
Or at least as much. We'll see more Gangplank, I think. Gangplank and Jax.
Gangplank is going to be better.
Well,
I mean,
I was gonna say, like,
to be fair, it was Zeus piloting the Gangplank in today's game, and just they
He ran train on him. There's no other way to say it.
I mean,
Zeus has been the star and highlight of T1. I mean, they got Faker. He's been consistent, but Zeus has just been a monster in top lane.
Oh, he has, for sure. And I thus far, I think that the tournament has been way more decided by top lane.
Top and jungle, in my opinion.
Junglers, like, all the junglers for the most part are beasting out, and it's kind of ridiculous. But I don't know how much of that is about the junglers specifically, and how much of that is about the way in which teams are playing around the jungle role in particular. But like because like if you, I mean, pretty much like even when it was PSG versus EG, it was just the two junglers fighting it out, right? And the rest of the team is just a supporting cast.
Yeah, you're talking day one, right? Or
Yeah.
day
Well,
two, or...
what else did I watch, Lake?
Well,
Come on, man.
Day 3, PSG decided to show up against G2, and they ended the unbeatable streak.
Well, that's nice.
They were caster cursed. The second they entered the fucking Summoner's Rift, they were like, the last time a team was undefeated into the Rumble stage was RNG, and they were 4-0, and PSG ended up beating them. Okay, thanks for the curse. At that point, I told Penn while we were watching it, I'm like, well, G2 fucking lost. Thanks. PSG won. And then
Yeah,
G2,
well, I mean,
G2 faltered
yeah.
today. They lost to RNG and they lost to PSG.
I mean, I was expecting it to happen at some point, but like how was it?
It was
Was it just
Yankos.
like a
It was
hard
it
fought
was
game?
it was 100% Yankos, and it was Yankos, and I didn't like the picks against RNG.
What was the draft there?
Hold on.
Well, maybe I could actually look at it now that I'm not playing that stupid game show no more.
Yeah. It was Gwen, Leeson, Ari, Zio, Rakan versus Riven, Viego, LeBlanc, Ezreal, Yumi. And Yumi got first blooded because she decided to detach in front of a Rakan who hadn't used his W yet. And so they knocked up the Yumi, and you can't reattach to your teammate for like 5-6 seconds. And so they just murdered the shit out of her in bot lane. But Xayah ran through that team. I think ended like 8-0 and like 4 or 5 assists or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't like. I understand the Riven into Gwen. Give Broken Blade a little pocket pick one trick action going on. It looked decent. He was holding his own, but it's just the rest of the game, the team. And Yankos had some really bad ganks and plays in the PSG game.
So when we say holding his own, like, are we talking like it's just basically
He was staying
even?
relevant in CS. He wasn't getting outright killed. He was dancing around her.
And I honestly think that just goes. That's always Gwyn favored if that's the case against Riven. I don't see that getting any better over the course of time.
No.
Well,
and Riven didn't have
no,
flash.
maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, because the one thing that Riven does scale well with on is her shield. Like her shield scales well. So
this is definitely more of a Curtis discussion.
It feels like
The Riven versus Gwen.
Yeah. Like because the thing is that if healing is a problem, like heal cut is easy for Riven to itemize into. It's really not a problem.
Well, the problem there is the heal cut's also super effective against Riven, and Gwen builds that effectively as well.
Yeah, but like it's not as if healing is not a factor, then the shield is the factor, and that's the one thing that Riven does have. And the problem with Gwen's immunity is if you're inside of the circle, the immunity doesn't work.
I think bottom line comes like if with the Riven going even, it doesn't get you anything. You need that Riven to be ahead and be able to control the side lane, and I don't think that did happen. I think them going even just meant it was a mute point.
It definitely puts you in a bad spot if Riven's not ahead, because like you've stacked your bot side, like that's Yumi Ezreal.
Yeah.
There is
versus a
absolutely there's absolutely nothing that you do.
No. And to top it
at
off,
that point, you took Ezreal
Riven didn't have flash either, by the way. So there was almost nothing she was going to do in team fights.
Well, with her mobility, I don't think that's
you have to pressure side lane with Riven. Like there's no team fight that you want Riven to show up to other than like at the very end to clean up, right?
I mean, yeah, if Riven's your sole source of initiation, you've already
you've messed up somewhere along the way. And that's why
you're not team fighting at that point. I think that's one of those matchups, kind of like where I was saying like the Tryndamere, something like the Twisted Fate, get the Riven going really well, protect her on the sidelines, but you again need that Riven to be ahead, be able to compete in the side lanes, and be a genuine threat that the Gwen has to hide under turret, and you get full mobility.
Well, I will say the one thing that is really good about Gwen, priority right now especially, she is fantastic into Twisted Fate. So if everyone's just going to pick Twisted Fate, then I would never stop picking Gwen, because TF card doesn't do anything to Gwen. He literally cannot do anything to Gwen.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to use the Riven as the say, hey, you're going to pick Gwen, I'm going to pick Riven, I think Jax does exactly what Riven does, but does it better. And so I would just stick to Jax at that point.
No, I agree. Because at least with Jax you have the arguable utility in team fights. And
not
he
even
just
just
he
that.
scales better. He scales better.
Scales better, and he does better on the sideline. Like it's
Like
like,
if you're
we'll
not
go
gonna
team fight.
yeah,
Jax
like if you're
takes
not gonna
3 charts.
play to win that top lane, then like there's no point to Riven. It'd be like taking Draven and then going, all right, you're weak side. Like what?
I would almost it sounds really bad, but I almost prefer the Camille over the Riven into the matchup if you're not gonna just get the Riven obnoxiously ahead.
And we have seen that matchup too. But the teams did exactly like we said they would. They're like, all right, you chose a matchup that can hinder the Gwen, or the Gwen. We're gonna gank the ever living shit out of you and stop it. And I think that's also the difference in high tier teams, like the versus the emerging regions. There's a lot of times we'll see RNG, especially when they get Gala going. They will zone bot lane away from that tower for so long.
Yeah, I think what today Gala was up by 2,000 gold on everybody, not just like his lane opponent. That was like the nearest person to him today.
Yeah.
Like that's just an obnoxious. Like you don't do anything about that. You just fight anywhere that Xayah doesn't exist.
Yeah, but like I don't know. Like you look at LeBlanc across the lane from Ari, and you're not really gaining
I've not enjoyed the LeBlanc
anything.
gameplay. Yeah, MSI.
I think I think I pointed out, like it was rough if you that Xayah was so far ahead at that point. Like LeBlanc got the best look you could possibly have in an AD carry and still completely failed to kill.
Yeah,
Xayah.
there was no lethal because like what are you gonna do, right? Like you actually have to lane against Ari. You've got Lee Sin running around the top side of the map.
Oh,
And
don't get me
then
wrong. I loved the lane against Ari. Like it
yeah,
performed
yeah,
well
yeah.
if it was
But I
just
mean,
Ari. But
I'm
it
just
wasn't.
saying like, but the thing is that like what it's Ezreal and Yumi versus Xayah Rakan, with the possibility of occasionally a Lee Sin showing up versus the possibility of a like a not even level 6 at the time, right? Whatever his face is, I can't even think of his name now.
Jungle top lane.
Jungler for G2.
Shit, who did he pick? I just went off of that. God damn it.
It's a stupid assessment. Viego, yeah. So like what, like Viego. It's Viego, Ezreal, Yumi versus Lee Sin,
Mm-hmm.
Xayah, Rakan. If it's not level 6, do you? I don't think you do. And if it is level 6, what level are they? Because you did not hit 6 when they did. Guaranteed you didn't hit 6 when they did. That is, this feels like a horrific draft loss to me. And if they played around it, well and were able to kill the Gwyn like multiple times and gave Broken Blade the entire, all the priority in the world over side lanes, maybe that works out, right? Maybe the Riven becomes unanswerable because, like, it's not like RNG had a bunch of tools to answer a fed Riven. Because they didn't.
Well, and here's the thing that
But-
like really sucks about the whole situation is if you're staring at it, that mid lane pick, instead of LeBlanc, you throw a TF in there, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Being able to play it to the top side, but because Gwyn is picked third in that, you now like I would agree. You don't pick Twisted Fate with Gwyn. Like that shuts that entire game plan down.
Yeah.
And I think on just blue side third pick, literally shut down pretty much their entire idea what they had going, and then they still went with it and lost.
Yeah.
Now, I will have to say, this is just me being me and wanting, to see G2 play a little bit better. They lost both of their games on LeBlanc today.
I
but
wouldn't argue. I don't like the
I-
LeBlanc pick right now. I don't think
Yeah.
it's a solid pick.
You have to have so much.
It's so Perks
You have to have the
piloted
perfect
it
situation
well.
that it's in.
He piloted it well. He lane,
Yeah.
decent.
I
But
mean, Caps.
as it
I know you meant
became
Caps, not Perks.
Caps, as it
Well,
came to like mid to
Leaks
late
here
game,
first.
he
Perks
could not
G2.
do anything. There was nothing he could do, even with how far ahead he was with Void Cap, Death, Void Staff, Death Cap, all that stuff. The LeBlanc just looked more useless than the TF did late game.
I think the other thing I don't really like about it is who are you killing right now? And effectively a meta where top lane and jungle is so heavy, the LeBlanc's not demolishing one of those. And I think they even said is like, what do? Like, Caps is the only thing that kills Lee Sin, but if Caps blows everything into Lee Sin, he doesn't. Like, the other team's like, okay, that's great, we'll take that.
Well, I mean,
But if he blows it on Zaya probably lives with
no, Zaya lives
Gale
with
Force and Ulti and Cleanse. Like, that's it.
Which
It didn't do
which
you
is
much good.
Zaya showed today when Caps jumped her like just free out of nowhere, didn't know LeBlanc was coming out, and lived.
Yeah. Well, and it's also there's just one single item against this. Like, what are the threats against you as Zaya, right? You have one threat against you as Zaya, literally one, and that is the LeBlanc. So, I mean, realistically, you can itemize just a little bit into MR, and all of a sudden the combo's meaningless.
You just have to get Ma, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And
well, that's what I'm saying. You can get if you get Maw, you're done. But, like, even if you just get the Hex Drinker, like Hex Drinker early, you're good probably until LeBlanc has at least 3 to 4 items.
Or you go crazy and you end up 2k above everybody else, and you don't have to build shit.
Yeah, you just mow them all down.
But I'm just saying, like, this, we're talking like best case scenario for LeBlanc. If we argue best case scenario for LeBlanc, you still, it's not gonna work. Like, this is a you have to see specific picks that you can actually go into. Like, if it was a Jinx, I think you could argue LeBlanc against Jinx.
yes, 100%.
But, like, unless you can force them into an AD carry that is reliant on their first item to have mobility to try to avoid anything along those lines, I think that you can't pick LeBlanc.
I think it goes along with like the TF being lackluster with things like Gwen in the meta. LeBlanc's not that much better with the 80 carries that exist currently. Like,
No.
you're going into Zaya's, Ezreal's, Tristana's. It's just not a fun time to play.
Well, it's also
if it's
pairing.
a Jinx, yeah, but you don't see that.
Like, you're gonna take a LeBlanc, but you're gonna pair it with an Ezreal. Like,
Yeah.
why? Why?
I think the LeBlanc was an adaptation to seeing the Gwen. I bet wholeheartedly G2 wanted the Twisted Fate. They saw Gwen and backed out.
I mean, you could see if LeBlanc roams, right, and you have a Riven that's actually ahead, LeBlanc does get into melee range for her combo.
She does, and I think at one point in the game you did see that. Like, LeBlanc, with Yuumi attached, completely dove in on the Gwen, and still failed to capitalize on the kill.
Well, right, but you'd be
was
doing
good.
that basically just to help spiral the Riven out of control. Like, you wouldn't be doing this on your own. That'd be the closest thing you could get to doing something like beneficial. But it just seems I don't see a real reason, even though, like, a game may have been won with LeBlanc existing. I don't think that the LeBlanc has been a good a good choice.
So I guess to not play the negative card on it, like, I don't like the LeBlanc, and I don't like the Twisted Fate in that play. Then I guess what mid laner do you go with that competes with Ahri and still benefits you in that top lane against Riven?
You
like, with
don't
Riven
get
and the
something that
Gwen?
benefits you in the top lane. So like
That's
the
the thing. They
problem
had
is
to because you are already you're playing this.
they just
this
needed to not
we're
pick the
expecting to
ribbon.
play
Like
ribbon.
they
No, I
needed to
think
not pick the
so.
ribbon when all this stuff happened.
So-
Like the way they skewed their comp because they wanted to do too many things.
So Pen, in that game, with everything that we've said, what is one champion that you would change in that lineup to make it more favorable for G2 with the LeBlanc?
With the LeBlanc.
Mm-hmm. And you're facing the Gwen, Lee Sin, Ari, Zaya, Rakan.
Honestly, I think we drop the ribbon and grab a Gangplank. He can stand against the Gwen well enough to at least go even, and he can affect the rest of the map.
What part of the map are you affecting? The bot lane that they picked Ezreal Yumi?
No, I think you're
I mean,
attempting to help either the jungle or
funnel
you're helping the mid lane.
Well, you have to funnel into mid lane then at that point, which you could do. Like
I think you could funnel into
Fine,
the
you
Gangplank,
can-
and then you could get the fucking 3-piece barrel combo.
I don't, but I just don't like Gangplank's just not something that you're really able to dive for, especially not with Gwen. I think that at that point you would actually play into the LeBlanc. You would just
No, I
be
think you play into
you would
the
basically
Gangplank.
have to try to. I don't know.
Because we've
like,
seen
you can-
teams play into the Gangplank against the Gwen, and the Gangplank just literally carries the rest of the game. Like Zeus.
Dave's hard carried.
Yeah, Zeus did that today.
I don't know that you can. I guess you can do it probably okay with LeBlanc and Diego. I
I think it'd be fine
seems
because
sketchy.
late game, like if the Gwen's not paying respectfully to the Gangplank and the barrels, which we saw that a couple times today, she just gets blown the fuck up, regardless of
When
if
it-
LeBlanc's there or not.
When I guess it also would help some because Zaya is not the longest range AD carry.
Yeah, you give
Catching
some,
her with one barrel, then drops her into easy lethal for LeBlanc.
Yeah, I think that's a decent change up. If we were to keep the Riven, you'd have to change the AD carry.
I don't think you change AD carry. I think you change your support. I think Yumi is not going to be good no matter what against the team that we're looking at.
Yeah, but if we're keeping the LeBlanc and Riven, I don't like the Ezreal paired with that against the Zaya
I
Gwen.
agree. Like I think
So
there's so
if
many
we're
things wrong with
keeping
this
the
team comp that they have.
Yumi, because we said only one, I don't think the support is going to change that outcome. I think you'd have to change the AD carry if you're keeping the Yumi there. Because we just said one pick.
I think I would say pull in Yumi. Put Braum in there. At least give you some fighting chance in a team fight.
And
And
give a hard
not
defensive
sacking,
lane on the bot side.
not sacking your bot side so heavily.
I could see the Braum instead of the Yumi. Definite classic pairing with the Ezreal.
Screw it, throw a Pike in there.
It was not
He
banned.
was not banned.
Yeah, I
don't
understand the Yumi.
I mean, generally speaking, Pike is good into Rakan specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, and
The
we're
other
talking
thing
about
that
playing in
wasn't-
other lanes. Pike
the
does
other-
that immensely.
He does, and the other thing that was not banned and not even considered is Leona.
Well, I thought about the Leona as well. The problem is that the one reason I don't really like the Leona is
Because of Everfrost.
like who.
Boom.
Well, it's not even just Everfrost. Like who goes in with Leona that doesn't potentially just get blown up instead of the Leona
Riven.
or alongside the Leona. Or just the Riven. Like, and we talked about this before, right?
I mean,
like,
Viego
even
goes
if you do
in.
this,
I mean, granted, you're going off of if they don't get blown up. The thing is if Leona can get the lockup, which we're speculating that all of this plays flawlessly, that the Viego and the Riven are going in with. You got Yumi using the ulti, or not Yumi because she's not in it. And then you have LeBlanc coming from the side. So ultimately, it's one of those. If everything's played perfectly, everybody's going in with the Leona, and they're not getting instantly blown up.
I mean, I just look at Rakan, Lee Sin, and the AD carry having ulti. I look at Ari having charm plus Everfrost. I don't think that Leona gives you.
I mean,
It's
if
not that she
she's
won't have a reliable engage. It's just that I don't think she has a reliable engage that can be followed up on. Because there's not enough like lockdown outside of like single target lockdown.
yeah.
And just looking at it, I don't think G2 ever intended or wanted to do a team fight. I mean, because if you're looking at
No.
that, it goes back to like if Riven is your sole source of starting or engaging a fight, you're already off to a bad start.
Yeah.
And that was effectively what they had, because you don't want Viego rolling in. Like you want him coming in, getting a reset, and going to town, which LeBlanc could offer to him. But like,
Mhm.
if LeBlanc's jumping in, she's just gonna get charmed up by Rakan and charmed up
Okay.
by Ari and ate up.
Well. Actually, I will say there is another potential option they could have gone.
Mm-hmm.
They could have, looked at some C9 VODs and said, hey, you know what we could actually do?
Let's go TF.
We could play. Well, no. Oh my God, let's go TF. Get out of here. We could play an enchanter mid. Something along the lines of whether it be Ivern or Karma, I think would have actually provided a lot of value if you're trying to allow the Riven to initiate and not die.
But that's if they're wanting her to initiate. But I
Well, I
don't-
mean, at this, I mean,
at that point you'd have to go flash on Riven, I believe. Even
well, yeah,
if you
would.
have
I mean, you would change up your summoners.
yeah,
but
you'd have to go flash. But because she didn't go flash, they were like, okay, you're gonna side lane against Gwen. Like you're side laning, and LeBlanc you're side laning. But RNG said, if you don't team fight us, you're gonna lose because we're just gonna keep like 3-4 manning everywhere. Have fun.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just that like the draft is so doomed that you have to construct so many different scenarios to be able to pull this draft out as being like salvageable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll definitely say that this was a lost draft by the coach.
Yeah.
With as much as Broken Blade memes about it in there little recaps with caps.
Okay.
It was definitely a lost draft for sure. But on a positive note, right?
Real quick here, I apologize, but I actually have to drop for a little bit. I will be back as quick as I can be, but I have to drop for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Something just came up over
Alright.
this way, so
Mm-hmm.
Good luck, Godspeed.
thank you.
On a positive note, I mean, G2 did take a victory off of RNG T1. So they've set themselves up, in my opinion, to make it out of the Rumble stage.
Oh, easily.
I guess I'm more fearful of kind of the chink in the armor that was shown in that particular game. Yes, they played flawlessly and played really well against the upper teams, but like how many people are going to take advantage of the fact that they seem to, if G2 is going to experiment with trying to find ways to beat the Gwen, and this is the experimentation they're going to do, they're clearly desperate to find something to play against the Gwen. So do you just pick the Gwen into them and see if they fuck this up again?
I think the Gwen's going to continually be picked up blue side. So, I don't know, Ben?
The Gwen is the chink. They keep trying different things. It's not really worked out. We've seen Broken Blade now play Riven and Vlad into it and be shut down hard both times. They may have won the time he was on the Vlad, but it wasn't because he was playing Vlad. They repeatedly dove him.
Didn't he also
Said
do the Ornn against Gwen?
I can't remember. I can look.
So just looking at it, G2 still has 2 more games they have to play red side. So
Yeah,
it's possible they're going to see it at least. Yeah, it's possible they're going to see
unless
2 more
Gwen
wins.
gets banned, Gwen is always going to be a pick for top lane.
Yeah, it's going to be a blue side first pick. And
there have been teams that are like, we won't take a first pick because we value something more important, like RNG. Even though they constantly get Gwen, they're picking Ari first, like all the time for Xiaohu. Seems like the only champion he's comfortable on right now.
If it
You
ain't
start
broke,
by
don't fix
banning.
it.
Yeah, I think you start just banning R against him every game.
Which
Force him onto something else.
to kind of change tunes, since Curtis is with us today. What about them 80 carry picks? What have you enjoyed seeing grabbed, and what have you thought has been just a why?
I always adore obviously when Zaya sees so much success. Because it means it just solidifies the fact that I can just play Zaya and just first pick it and be just fine. I think Ezreal has proven to be just like that safe pick that everybody wants to go for. Kaisa I know has received a lot of bans, but I don't know why people are not using or utilizing it against the Zaya more. It's very, it's not like damning to play Zaya into Kaisa, but it's not fun. And because Kaisa just later, she's like murders you, and if you ever click R in front of a Kaisa, she's like, okay, now I get to just go in and kill you. Uh, so I'd like to see that more. And the new like the Callista pickups have been a lot of fun to watch, and I'm really excited to see what teams kind of do and how they kind of pair things up to with that to kind of shake up kind of what we're seeing currently with team fights and acts like that, and if there's more agency sent to the bottom side early to help that Callista kind of get up off the ground.
Speaking of the Calista, because me and Penn were talking about this earlier, there have been some interesting supports paired with her, some that I've liked and some that I didn't like. Have there, I mean, Penn, I know we talked about it earlier, but what were you thinking about some of the supports that have been paired with the Calista?
Just like you, I've not been the biggest fan of the Gragas beside her. At least that we've seen the way it's been played. I think you need to maybe see something more like an Alistair who can shove even more CC on top of it on more than one person and can survive going in off of it. Or Leona. I'm just not a big fan of the Gragas support unless it's alongside something that can really abuse it like Yasuo.
I do really enjoy actually the Rakan matchup with the Callista, just purely on the fact that like it gives him just another ability, or like he can play even more aggressively than he already has the capability because of his just obnoxious amount of mobility. But like throwing a Rakan in that's just gonna click R and run through your team is really huge. And I'm surprised we haven't seen more Rel uh, with any of that as well. I think
I think it's because it's mainly been, quote unquote, the emerging regions, so like PSG and Saigon, that have the higher priority on Rel as a support currently. All of the other teams like T1, EG, RNG, G2, they don't see the Rel as being a support, I guess a reliable support, which maybe tunes will change because I mean PSG showed the power of Rel against G2 today.
yeah, I think viability wise, she is actually a pretty. She's not like S tier gonna go crazy support, but like especially like with the Callista, and it might shore up a lot of the issues that we were talking about earlier, where Kinnon's just not being played around. Rel's just gives so much agency to that Kinnon and sets her up so well that I would love to see a team utilize the Rel Callista in with a Kinnon and see if they can't pull that wombo combo off rather than this pretty static one that we're seeing now, which is like the Yasuo Diana. Huge wombo combo on there.
Which, to slightly say what Daisy said earlier, even with the Rel, because we've seen Rel paired with Kennen a few times, it's either the rel is going in too early and not playing around when the cannon is actually going to be there, or the team just sees cannon coming from the side before the rel can engage and just blows up the cannon.
Yeah, and I think that's a piloting issue. I would be curious, like if some of the upper teams, like because as you said, it's just uh, the lower teams picking up the rel right now. If a team who maybe pilots it just a bit different or pilots it, more effectively, whether we'd see more success out of that.
Yeah, because like with the Calista, it's nice seeing. It's only been, I think it was like G2 that kind of showcased it off the bat, and it's because
Well,
of
and
the combo, the wombo with the Yasuo and stuff like that.
yeah, and it's definitely really strong.
But I would definitely like to see more Rakons with it, more Nautiluses. I understand the Gragas, but my issue is the Gragas, like, there's no way for him to get out. Once he goes in, he's in. And if he messes up or screws up the combo, your team feels like they lost the fight.
I'm not a fan of Gragas support in most uh, positions, not even just with the Ballista. I'm not a big fan. I just don't think he offers you. I think there's definitely supports that offer what he does and in a better situation. I also don't like it with the Callista. I think it's just not optimal for what the champion wants to do and not optimal for what the position wants to do. So that just I feel like it's a very forced pick, and maybe there's something in scrims that's they're seeing that's different, but I'm not seeing it not in games.
I feel it's definitely one of those niche picks because we've really only seen it come from Keria and Targamas. I don't think we've seen. Have we seen it come out of Ming? I don't think we have.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like Targamas, and I get it. It's probably like he sees bans on it all the time. But even just the Pike with the Callista, it's similar to the Rakan. It adds another aspect that you have to now keep track of, and it makes it even more difficult for you to play against this champion. So it's there's better picks than the Gragas, and the Callista I don't think has seen much agency, but I would like to see it. Again, it's another pick that's good into the Xayah too.
Yeah. How are you enjoying the Tristana?
Uh, Trist is a lot. Oh my God, like that one. I don't. I get it. I see it. I understand it. I I don't really like it. I really don't. There's a reason why you the teams that are proficient at using it and the players who are good at using it, you will see a lot of success with. But you have to have the team that's able to play around it, and you have to have the player that's able to play with it. And if teams just start shutting it down in lane phase, it's not going to do you a whole lot. Like, if we had games lasting 40, 50 minutes, sure. I can see that. Like, outrange everybody by the end of the game. Your tanks are pretty much just squishy champions with larger models. But that's we're not seeing 40, 50-minute games. The games are not lasting that long, and Tristans aren't seeing that success in there. And again, it might be the teams who are picking it up are already losing, so you're not seeing the games last that long. But I don't like the Tristana pick of all the AD carry picks. That's the one I would like to see like kind of go away.
Well, and what's funny? So I pulled up some stats for Trist, right? So Trist only has a 30% win rate. She's 4 wins, 9 losses. And was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the last 7 games? 6 out of the 7 games, it has all been against Callista. And she has only won 2 of those games against Callista.
I think that might be an attestament to like Callista does what Tristana kind of wants to do early, but better. It's like Tristana jumps in on you, but do you really want to jump in on a Callista who, as soon as you think you're winning that fight, you get hit by a rend, you're slowed, you're stuck in there, you're not going anywhere, and you're probably 2 hits from dead. Um, as well as your good reset, your good jump reset is on being the support. Callista takes that away a lot of the times. I just and I would imagine Tristana probably saw a lot more wins earlier on in the tournament, like in the group stages, not quite in Rumble stages. And then now that they're just being played up against better bot lanes, better teams, they're just not letting that happen anymore.
So before that, before those last 7 games, it was played another 6, and there were only 2 victories in those 6. So it was against a variety. It was against Lucian, Jin, Aphelios, Ezreal, Zaya, and Samira. So it's just been more recently that they're like, oh, you're gonna take Tristana, all right, we take Kalista, or it's vice versa. I don't remember the pick when she's been getting picked, so maybe it's the Tristana getting picked into the Kalista, or it's the Kalista
Well,
being
and
picked into the Tristana.
I would see that more purely because as soon as you see Callista picked, your typical plays of like, oh, I'll play Zaya, I'll play Ezreal, which is what we've been seeing a lot of, you no longer want to do. Like that just it's not fun to play Ezreal into Callista. Hitting a champion that yeah, you could predict where she's gonna land because as soon as she throws her auto, she's pretty much, I'm going this direction. She doesn't have much choice. It's still not easy to hit. Um, Champion, she dashes around, she gets to be like right up on top of you, and she throws her support at you. And she gives supports that shouldn't have mobility, and it causes problems. Nobody likes to see a Braum flying at their face. Not usually.
who would, honestly? Like, fuck that.
Throw the door and throw the mountain at him. I think we got this, boys.
But I mean, I guess like with that, like the support picks have been kind of all over the place. So I guess like what right now are you seeing that you're really enjoying, or like you're like, oh, like is it actually making a difference on the picks? Because a lot of these supports are doing very similar roles and tasks. You either have their very slippery engaging champions, Pike you see a few times, or Khan you're seeing a lot, or you have this like hyper tanks and Leona and Nautilus who are just gonna start a fight and go in. I guess I would imagine the bot lane from here on out for the rest of the tournament is probably going to stay pretty static. It doesn't seem like it's having an effect on the game enough to really see a lot of changes. I'd imagine we see a lot of the same picks go in unless some team really finds some crazy tech that's really going to break bot lane wide open.
Sure.
Zaya just doesn't have a whole lot of counterplay to her. It sounds bad, but there's not a whole lot you can do against her outside of playing these champions like Callista and Tristana. But even then, Zaya becomes Zaya eventually, and manhandles team fights.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If we see more Zaya, it's hard to say what type of supports we're gonna get, especially if Rakan doesn't get banned. You feel the Rakan's just gonna be an insta pick with the Zaya, but I don't know. What do you like more? Do you like the slippery supports with your AD carries, depending on who you have, or do you like the tanky supports?
I always love watching the slippery supports. Like it's awesome. Like the Targamas playing Pike, you're always down for a good time, right? But right now, just for security reasons, there's no reason not to be picking. Like if Nautilus is up, take it. He's so unbelievably strong, in my opinion, and pairs so well with so many of the AD carries. I guess if I was standing there as an AD carry and my support was hovering between the two, I'd be like, just pick Nautilus, but like, pick Nautilus, click R on somebody, we'll kill them. Like you like seeing that just this is gonna happen and it's gonna work out well. Whereas I think the slippery supports have a little bit more give to them, unfortunately.
So, because one of the highlights right now is showing Senna. What have you thought about that in bot lane for MSI so far? Because it has been played in the AD carry role as the support, and it's also been played as support by the support. Do you like it
Yeah,
more?
what was the game? It had Vlad with a Senna support, right?
Yeah, it was the Saigon G2 one that we had Daisy guess.
Yeah. I think if I could pick any bot lane that I want to play, like right now, like hey, I want to go to lane and I want to play this. I would love to play a Senna Nautilus game. Uh, with Senna just being the sacrifice and let Nautilus farm. I think Nautilus is very strong.
Which is what T1 did today.
Yeah, I think that game's actually up right now in the highlights. Nautilus becomes just unkillable, and Senna just becomes a late game freaking monster. And if you do not build any kind of like health cut or like healing cut, it's aggressive and it's very oppressive to play against. And she's very difficult to lock down in team fights. She's very like she just does all the things you want to do, and then just has some extra damage on top of that. And then her ability to affect the map along with her own lane with the ulti, I think it's very understated. That shield is massive. Like anytime I'm playing Senna, like I look to mid. Like, is my R capable to do anything? If yes, all right, go in on your laner. Like I will be there. You will have a shield. Hopefully, I get the damage on top of that. That's awesome. But I think Senna is a very fun AD carry to play. I think it does need to be paired with something well, and I think the Nautilus is that pairing that I'd love to see with it.
Yeah, if the Senna is being played by the AD carry, for sure, I think I would take the Nautilus over it. Does it sound fun to have a Vlad being supported by a Senna, and the Vlad should theoretically be unkillable with his Qs and the Qs and stuff from Senna? Sure. But it just didn't turn out that way in that game.
I think that's one of those like on paper looks awesome. If everything goes flawlessly, amazing. But it just doesn't. It goes back to that like, okay, you pick Nautilus and you click R, you're not gonna miss, right? Like it's gonna hit something. And so you have that kind of guaranteed. Whereas like I think Vlad is more closely related to like the slippery supports where if played right, it looks amazing, does great things, and it just is fun to watch. But when it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
So to transition again a little bit, because we have some people that dabble in the jungle. So Penn, have there been any standout junglers? Have there been any, the why did we even attempt this jungle?
Don't really have any of the why did we even attempt this?
Viego.
Yeah, but everyone's attempting Viego. We've seen it
Viego
just about
seems to be
every game.
Hot commodity.
Let's see. If I'm looking at this right, he was picked in all but the EG Saigon game at the end of the day this morning. He was picked in 5 out of 6 matches today.
Probably.
And then if he's not picked, it comes down to Wukong if he's not banned out, or Nocturne, which Nocturne is the one, if any of them, I'm iffy on, because he's real team comp dependent. If he's going to be able to do what he wants to do, his first ulti has to get something, be it a flash or a kill. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he seems to fall behind.
Yeah, because he's been... Sorry, in the Rumble stage, it's been... I think it's just been Viego, Wu, Graves, Lisa, and Diana. I don't think we've really seen any variety outside of those 5.
Except for 1 or 2 nocturnes.
Oh yeah, a couple nocturnes. Yeah,
We did see a Volibear.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, the Volibear got. Well, we saw the Volibear get beat up, and we saw the Volibear just roll over everybody too.
Oh, and T1 does like to bring out the Vi on occasion.
I'd say
owner's Vi is.
that. I would say that's been my kind of fun pick. Right? She's come out twice. She's won both of those games. Granted, it was, T1 versus Saigon, but there was some spice there, right? It wasn't just, all right, they picked the Wu, let's grab the Viego, and, let's 50-50 the jungle.
So to hark back to like one of the things Penn did say that Viego was picked in 5 of the 6 games, which is accurate. And I was just looking at it, and someone's more than able to correct me if I'm wrong. Viego lost all 5 games.
Yeah, G2 lost. Hold on, I can.
He won. No, he lost all 5.
Matchups.
Let's see,
today.
game 1.
yeah.
Dude,
he
you
lo-
know
he
what
was-
his stats
yeah.
are? He is 7 wins and 19 losses.
That's what I was kind of hitting as, like, he's being played and there's a lot of priority being put on him, but he is not seeing very little success compared to junglers, i.e. like Wukong and Graves, that are seeing like massive
he
damage numbers,
lost
a lot of some
two-
success here.
2 of the games against Graves, 3 of the games against Lee Sin, 1 of the games against Wukong.
So it's just in a world in which I feel like right now a lot of the games are coming down to junglers just like browbeating against each other. I just have not seen a whole lot to say, who Viego's the one I kind of want. I'm just seeing a lot more agency out of some of these other junglers, jungle picks rather, and just I feel like if there's any jungle picks, like, why are we doing this? The Viego would be the one. It's like, why are we? What is bringing so many teams to this Viego pick that they want to keep doing it?
The resets. That's it. They're
It's
trying.
either-
They're hoping. They're hoping to do. He's an assassin. How we said with Riven earlier. You want him to kind of come in at the tail end where he can potentially get some resets, or jump in with all 5 people at the same time and get something going. But you could have things like the Lee Sin. Viego comes in, kick him out, or kick the other person who's doing damage out, and then you kill the Viego. Graves. All right, you want to walk face first into a full lethality Graves? Go ahead. Just see how much pain that causes.
I'm trying to remember what game I'm pretty sure there was a game last week. I want to say it was Viego versus Graves, and Viego lost his red buff at level 1, lost his Raptors at level 1, then walked over. Graves took his blue, and then Viego, in an attempt to steal at least a camp back, got killed trying to steal the blue back, and it just spiraled. It actually might not have been. I think it might have been one of the group stage games, but he gets bullied very heavily by these junglers, especially the Graves right now.
If it was this game, I'd have to go through the VOD real quick. But during the group stages, it was EG versus Order, so it was Kevy, if that was the game.
Yes, 100% it was Kevy getting like completely manhandled, and it's a very extreme case, but it was a case nonetheless. That it was like, we're picking this Viego, and it's got such a high priority, but like
for the group stage,
rough.
Kevy got beat up on a lot. Like he lost
like
his Viego against Shyvana. Against Yankos' Shyvana. Not Shyvana. Sejuani. So Kevy did not have a fun
He
group
also
stage.
had his poor Evelyn bullied to hell and back by
Yeah,
Wukong for
as
G2.
as an Evelyn player, you know, he had his red taken, he had his Gromps taken. They pretty much did the same thing to his Evelyn that they did to the Viego.
Yeah, and as I said, that's a very extreme case. But like, even if you're taking that one out as like, oh, that's an outlier. That was just a poor game, poor showing. It's not been much better for anyone else playing Viego. You know, he
No.
taking 5 losses just today alone. Um, you know what I would imagine right now. There's probably junglers you could take better. That would even the Nocturne. I think would put yourself in a better position at least. That like takes you at least take one champion out. You have some initiation in there. Or as an answer to this Gwyn problem, you throw a Nocturne that doesn't allow Gwyn to just run over your top laner, take a solo laner. Like if you had Nocturne in that game with the Riven versus Gwyn, like how much different would that have been?
I mean, to be fair, I'll say this: if owner from T1 has only played Viego once, got shit on by G2 because it was the first game of the Rumble stage when G2 went crazy with the Yasuo Diana combo, and has not touched the Viego since. So there's got to be something that he's seeing that not everybody else is seeing to go, yeah, we don't want him.
Maybe it's time to put that pick a little bit to rest. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's not as good as what we think maybe it is, and we just go ahead and not do that.
I wonder if the whole Viego thing is kind of a throwback to regular season where it was a dominant jungle pick before the Wukong buffs came in. Before he
God,
saw
please help us with
probably
Wukong.
multiple nerfs. I can't remember all the patch notes, but
Sorry,
nothing
solo
like
queue. Wukong's gonna be a problem for a while, guys. Have fun.
nothing like Wukong being able to now clone over walls.
Yeah, because owner's been prioritizing, like the Graves and the Wukong. So
And as a Graves player, I love seeing it, and I think it's a great pick. I would like to see more priority on that versus the Viego, and I get that it's more of a farm-centric, heavy like carry jungler, but with the junglers you have present in this tournament, I would imagine those would be higher picks.
I will have to say we've seen a lot more Lee Sins. Do we think that's more comfort, or do we think that's like? I know Lee Sin is considered a viable pick, and he stays relevant for a majority of the game, but Lee Sin doesn't have a point where he can fall off, or if he messes up, a ward hop combo, like he just does not recover from that. Compared to like a Wukong, goes invisible, has his ulti, can dash around a little bit more effectively than the Lee Sin. So do you think the Lee Sin is more comfort, or do you think it's just a legitimate, like, okay, we know the Lee Sin is just going to do way better than your pick?
So if we're making the argument that do we think that these junglers are picking Lee Sin because he is effectively the most optimal pick in the situation? No, I think there's just junglers who aren't that. Yeah, it's comfort for them. They can play it. I just things like Yankos. He's gonna pick the Lee Sin before he picks Wukong, and I think that's just where it is. Lee Sin does well, and he definitely provides utility at the bare minimum. Like worst case scenario, you're kicking out a damage dealer away from your AD carry. But he's always effective in some manner. Whereas I think Wukong, it poorly played, would look terrible.
I mean, to
So
be fair, I think both of them poorly played look really bad, and I can
yeah,
attest to
but
that.
you're gonna see a lot more of these players playing better on Lee Sin than on Wukong. So I guess in short, the answer to the is it a comfort pick question? Yeah, it's 100%. I think I'm more comfortable playing Lee Sin, so I'm going to play this.
Yeah, I am going to say more of a comfort pick than anything. I think one too many of the junglers that they wanted got banned, or they're like, oh, the Viego got taken. Let's take the Lee Sin, which the Lee Sin has just been destroying the matchup. So maybe that's the other thing. They're like, all right, like Viego can't. I mean, realistically, Viego can't handle a Lee Sin. So maybe that's more of the pick over comfort is, oh, you want to take Viego? We'll take Lee Sin. Because Lee Sin has been played like 3 to 4 out of the last like 6 games against the Viego. So
Lee Sin was picked in 4 of the games today.
yeah, against the 5
what,
against Viego.
Two that he didn't get picked. Was
Oh,
it Wukong and Graves?
Sorry, he was banned in 1 game, picked in 3. The first one ended up being Graves versus Viego, with the
Which
Graves taking
we
the
already know
W.
Viego lost because he lost all the games.
Yep. Then the other one where Lee Sin was not picked, it was Wukong.
Wukong, yeah. So I mean, it's just Lee Sin takes the matchup, and so does the alternatives. Like if Graves or Wukong are up, they win the matchup too. So it's like, I guess what is the goal in picking the Viego at that point? And I think it comes down to just people believe that it's strong, or maybe they're seeing success in scrims or somewhere else that they're not seeing.
That's not
Actually,
translating to stage play.
I would love to see more Wukong. I am loving seeing it. It's amazing, but I do think people need to be able to play it for it to be effective.
So here's a question. One, obviously, we're hoping Daisy will be back sooner. Hopefully everything's good. But to lay this question out for you guys, EG, right? Currently, they are sitting in 4th, 1 game lead over PSG, which PSG recently won against G2. So maybe we'll see some sort of PSG resurgence. Do you think that the gameplay difference that they've chosen to go with over what they did in the LCS has been the right choice? And so in the LCS, they played more for Danny. They would help gank, they would help set him up to be successful, like how RNG does with Gala, where they will try to get him leads, they'll try to set him up to, be what they need him to be for the team. But at MSI, EG has kind of changed their identity to how can we get JoJo and Impact to be those players and leaving Danny behind, in my opinion.
I'm gonna let Penn take a shot at this one first, because obviously from my comment when we were talking earlier that I have a lot to say on that, but I'll let Penn take that one.
All right. I want to start with, they have Impact on their team, who is one of the strongest weak side players in North America. He can be left on an island and deal with most shit that comes his way. I think they need to go back to playing for Danny. Get him on stuff. I know it's been nerfed, but get him back on stuff like the Jinx. Something we know he can carry on.
Which means
That's where he's seen most of his success.
To be fair, they have given him like the Callista, and a few other picks, which I'll pull that up and I'll let you finish here.
No, that's most of it. I like seeing him more on his carries instead of the Ezreal. I just don't like Ezreal. He performed much better on the Jinx. I know it's been nerfed as well, but the Zeri could probably see some comeback. Stuff he's shown proficiency on and the ability to carry with. Ezreal, sure, he can pump out some numbers. He can have some high damage shares for teams, but I just don't like it in the way they've been playing. That's what I got. Sure, JoJo's good. Play for. I understand they're playing for the top half, but I think their bottom half is where they need to play for.
All right, so I think the question itself is super easy. Was it the correct call for them to, and I'm not gonna say abandon, but to change up how they're playing? Um, was it the correct call? No. I think it's if they want to see success moving forward, they need to go back to how they were playing and getting Danny ahead and you know playing for the bot side. I think is the correct play for multiple reasons. One, as you said, this is the way RNG is playing right now, and so you can't even say, oh, it doesn't work in the current meta. RNG is what 6-0, like
Four and
in the
They've lost
four
one
and two.
game.
right now,
They've
They're
lost one game, 5 and 1.
5-1.
5 and 1. So it's obvious that it works. So if it works, you can't make the argument of, oh, well, it just doesn't work in the meta. We had to play this way, and it's just not our meta. But it is, and it does work. You're just choosing not to. We saw it today. Gala on Zaya just completely taking over a game. Play like that and play to it. It works. It's effective. Go that route, and I think that they play really poorly when they have things like this Ezreal Yumi bot lane, especially in tandem with the fact that if you leave Impact on an island, he plays perfectly fine. He plays well. He gets his lead, and I don't recall, but I don't think Ornn was banned in their game today. Why not put him on Ornn and let him survive? It sucks. You hate to see it. You don't want to play it, but like they saw so much success with it, and now they're just kind of going away from it in a situation which I think it would still work. And I made the comment earlier that I think if G2 takes a game off of anybody above them, i.e., right now G2, T1, and RNG, I think RNG is the most likely for them to win against. And my reasoning for saying that was G2 or not G2, EG and RNG have a very similar playstyle when played correctly, and though it's risky if they get ahead, it almost feels unbeatable. So if EG plays their game, I think effectively they could beat RNG at their game. If EG goes in playing this, we're gonna play through top mentality, and we're gonna do all this. I don't think they win. I don't think they take a game off of G2, RNG, or T1. So then moving forward, I would like to see them play through Danny. Get him stuff like this. Get him things like the Jinx. Pair it with a Braum. Give it a little bit of safety. Give him, I don't know, give him the Tristana. Are you going to tell me he can't play this Tristana or the Kalista? Give him some agency in the bot lane. Help him out. Get him ahead, and then work from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for because what's funny is was it group stages, and I'm referencing it again, the caps recap. They were saying that, like, as they were playing G2, the main thing they were saying, or as G2 was playing EG, the main thing they kept telling themselves, don't let Danny get the penta. Don't give Danny the penta. Don't give Danny the penta. So it's interesting to me that it's like all of your success was behind this guy. Like, yes, JoJo's good. Let him, roam. Let him do, survive potentially against caps and whatnot, and make him play safer in lane. Impact can realistically hold his own against a lot of the top laners that are here with Zeus and Bin. Let him do his thing. Let him do what he's been doing for the past, however long he's been playing fucking League of Legends. Just let him play weak side and put him to his own devices, and he'll call you up when he needs help, or he'll TP in when you need help. But I mean, some stats for Danny, because we're like, I don't want him on Ezreal. I don't care if it's a safe pick. I don't care if they're like, because to me that says we're going to forget about you for the rest of the game, and hopefully you do some damage later. Okay, bye. Out of 5 games, he's a 40% win rate on Ezreal. 40%. Zaya and Kai'Sa, he has 2 games apiece, 100% win rate. With 8.7 KDA on Zaya and a 6.8 on Kai'Sa.
Now, arguably, I think Kai'Sa's been banned pretty regularly against him. However, like even then, like the Zaya is still available for most of the games he's played, and they've just chosen to not do that or to not go with that option. And even if you're like, oh well, Zaya's not available, I don't think Ezreal's the pick. I really don't. Sorry, you're not. You know, Danny, you're amazing, but you're not Uzi. Put the Ezreal down. Get on something you're comfortable with, and just dominate a team fight, please.
So
And definitely, I have. If you've got an 80 carry like Danny, don't give him Yumi. Don't. I don't like it. Just leave it alone. I mean, you wouldn't have put double lift on Ash, so fucking just don't do it.
no, but you'll put him on what, Sona?
Hey, that was broken.
So I will say in the 3 games that they lost so far in the Rumble stage, Kai'Sa and Zaya have not been banned in those 3 games.
That's even just more. And I like in their games that he's having to play into characters like Zaya, where these champions do play well. So there's just no reason to not.
So and it sucks too because it means the entire, quote unquote off season preparing for MSI. That is the game plan that they prepared, that they put together, that they said, this is what we're going to do. Let it be scrim results or some sort of, maybe he wasn't doing good on the Korean servers or something. But overall, Danny hasn't been Danny. And I think it's because his team is not playing for him. And they're playing more for JoJo and Impact, which, don't get me wrong, Impact has his carry champions and stuff like that. But if your whole identity that got you to MSI is playing through bot lane, then you might as well play through bot lane.
And I think I do believe, in response to something Pinhead said, I do believe Zeri has received a few nerfs that does make her less desirable to play. But even that, I think, would still be a better call than putting him on something like the Ezreal.
True. Well, and like I said with the stats, they haven't been banning the Zaya. They have been banning the Kai'Sa. Kalista has been the main ban against Danny. And you want to know how many times he's pulled out Kalista?
I'm gonna guess 1 because 0 is too obvious.
0. He has not
Damn.
played a single Kalista game. He's played Samira more than he's played Kalista. He even has a Jinx game in there.
Say Danny was known for Samira before.
He might have been known for it, but
yeah.
the team that he picked it into was why. He picked the Samira into Gwen, Graves, Anivia, Pike, Zeri.
Shit, I didn't know Froggen was here.
Yeah, Caps was showing that he loved that
yeah,
game.
he showed a little bit too much. But like, I'm not a fan of the Samira pick. I would rather see him on Ezreal than Samira. I think right now Samira's just not in a good place competitively. I just think right now that particular pick, if you do pick it, a singular stun makes you not a champion, is the problem there.
He at least has a 50% win rate on Jhin. Like, there are very few people at this tournament that make Ezreal look terrifying, and Danny is not one of them.
I think the one of the bigger reasons maybe for it is the damage numbers. They look great. Like I think I just saw one of the highlights earlier. You're looking at the kind of the damage numbers, and I think it was actually Danny, and it was like 4,000 damage in a fight, but it's not translating to team fight victories.
Yeah, it
So
was an
you
0-1
need to
team
do something.
fight.
So I mean, numbers look good, but if you're not getting results with the numbers, they're not any good. And I think Ezreal can be a good pick. I think things like the Braum and Ezreal are very potent. You can proc that very
I
quickly,
think
auto Q auto. But
so. I will have to say, I think last night's game, EG versus Saigon, was the first time, in my opinion, that it felt like they were playing towards Danny's pick. They gave him the Kaisa, and they said, okay, we got the Wukong, we got the Ornn, we have a phase rush Alistair. Go have fun.
We said in the Cowan, we just gonna have a good time.
Do what you need to do. You're gonna get so many passive procs and everything else. Like you're actually gonna look like an 80 carry. Go have fun.
now, do you think this is attested to anything of him being a younger player and
100%.
maybe not being
No,
comfortable
100%.
in the stage?
Which is funny because isn't Jojo Pune more of a rookie than Danny is? Because isn't this like Danny's second or third season? But it's Jojo Pune's like what, first season? Because he took over for God, what was his name? Pen Jizuke.
Yeah, Jizuke.
Yeah, he took over for Jizuke. But they're playing more for Jojo Pune and Impact. I don't know. Maybe Danny just has said he doesn't feel comfortable. I don't know.
It's possible. But then at that, unfortunately, you're looking at trying to build up a rookie against the likes of Faker and Caps and
Yeah, right.
Gala.
that's not
Xiao
enjoyable.
Hu. Yeah, it just makes you wonder what's going on. I mean, it was like Gamsu interview with T1's 80 carry. He flat out said in their game against T1, he was nervous. He's like, I didn't do what I needed to do. I was nervous playing against G2 because we know how crazy and unconventional G2 can be. He's like, I didn't, do a lot of plays that I should have done. And, we ended up losing. And maybe, Danny hasn't said anything, but maybe he's having that same mentality, like, oh, we're playing against T1 who hasn't been losing. We're playing against RNG who's, considered the best of the best right now. And we're playing against G2 who realistically, and until you have all 5 of their champions locked in, you have no idea what the fuck they're going to do. Even in the game, you're like, what's G2 going to do? What's their game plan? So maybe Jojo Pune just doesn't care. And he's like, screw it. I'll go in. I'll do the dumb stuff.
Let's play some NA League of Legends, boys. We going in.
Well, I mean, still just looking at it though. Just if you're gonna play comfort. Play what got you the wins. Unless you can you could just say it just doesn't work in this meta, but it does. It straight up it does, and RNG is proving it. So
Yeah. Oh, so today I saw some very interesting interactions with abilities today. So the first one was Silas. I can't remember the game. It might have been the EG versus.
We just know he's trying to take Viego ult.
Yeah. Oh, it might have been T1 game. Either way, the Silas Viego on the enemy team. Silas dashed in because Viego and the mid laner ended up killing the support. Or no, it was a T1 game because they killed Gumi on Senna. So Silas went to take Viego's ulti, but he did it while Viego was ultiing. It canceled out Silas's ulti grab and didn't give him the ulti and put it on cooldown.
That's definitely weird. I know Viego's
Like
ult
spell
does make
shield's
him unstoppable,
unstoppable.
right?
Yeah. So is that making it act like a spell shield, like like Malzahar or Sivir, or like a Banshee's Veil or something? Because like those are guaranteed to block it, like 100%. Because I've done it more than I
Yeah.
want to admit that I've tried to take someone's ulti while they had a Banshee's or spell shield up.
Here's the other question on that. Was Viego in somebody else's form when
No,
he
he
ulted?
was mid ult. Like you could tell Silas attempted to take it before the ulti started, but the chain went out while he was jumping. So then it looked like it was just a complete whiff. Like the chain didn't follow Viego at all. It just went to the area where he initially started his ulti from. So it was just one of those, like, maybe that weird unstoppable displacement just made the game go, yeah, there's no ulti here for you to take because the champion's not here anymore.
I'm curious if it has less to do with that, more to do with the fact that while in another body, Viego does not have ulti. Like you have all the abilities except for ulti, right? So if you're if you say Viego were to be possessing a Sona body just for funsies, does ulting that Sona possessed body not give you Sona ult, or does it give you Viego ult?
It gives you Viego.
Yeah,
I've
I mean
done
it's
that.
just weird. I don't think, personally, I don't think it should not it should cancel out Silas's ult. I think that is an incorrect interaction, just purely based on the fact it's makes him unstoppable, not untargetable, and not you can die while using Viego ult, right? Like you still take damage and can take damage that would in fact kill you. So the fact that it just flat out cancels it out is kind of weird.
Yeah, Silas ulti went on cooldown and everything and didn't have the Viego ulti at all. Now, granted, I don't know why he was taking it anyway, because if he took it and decided to go in, it was, 1v2, and he probably would have died in the first place. But yeah, it was very questionable. So the second fun interaction, okay? I don't remember what the game was, but it was a Kalista and Nautilus paired together. Okay, dream combo in the bot lane. The Nautilus was starting to get caught out while he was in the upper river, so he did his anchor toss to pull himself out of the situation. As he threw his anchor, he gets Kalista pulled, but because his anchor connected with the wall just slightly before he got pulled, it canceled out the Kalista pull and put him back next to the wall that he anchored connected to.
That one there would be an unfortunate oopsie. That sucks. I hate that. But that is how effectively that would operate. You do become unstoppable during that anchor toss. So unstoppable would act like even if it's a teammate's spell. Like if you anchor tossed as Nautilus while in Ryze's ulti, right? Like while it was going off, you would effectively negate that ulti as well. So even if it's your teammate's ability, yeah, you're gonna go unstoppable, and that includes Kalista. Like that's just unfortunate and it sucks, but yeah, that'd be how that would work, unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, why is that? Like, what? But yeah, and now granted, he didn't get jumped or anything after that. I don't think the enemy team had vision, nor were they like, let's push this. But it was just so crazy to see, he threw his anchor, but he gets pulled in, but then the anchor said, no, you stay here. Like, you never expect something like that to happen from those situations. So it's just very interesting, just like, you know, what you would think are kind of weird, buggy plays that have happened at MSI.
I guess that would make me curious on if you Callisted ulted a Scion while he was ulting, would that just cancel
Choo-chooed.
that out as well?
Yeah, like I feel like we're gonna have to go into the training tool and have some fun with Callisto ulti.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a no. Like, can you pull Gwen out of her shroud? Like, is that a thing? Like, watch.
It makes you wonder too with Silas. Like, if you connected to the Silas, he throws out his chains, but right before it connects, you pull him, and then it connects, and then it just goes. He goes straight to the target instead.
I think since Callista's like appearance, there's been so many like, is that how that's supposed to? We're not sure, but sure, like we'll go with it because Callista things, I guess. I think Callista falls under one of those champions where because of how her ulti operates, it's a lot like Tom Kench's, like doing things that physically move your allies causes problems, I think, and that probably is where that lies. But that would be, yeah, I would hate to see that happen in a situation where it's like Nahus would have got out if Callista ult happened, but the Nahus has nobody to blame but himself at that.
Right, and you almost want it to be one of those situations where he got caught, right? Where he died, and you see that interaction, and you watch them, you know, go rah rah rah, pause the game, blah, 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 blah. Rewind.
Yeah, because it had no actual like effect on the game. It's not as bad, but
right.
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the Leona to the moon during the group stage. Gotta pause.
Yeah. Okay. So, we kind of have this, you know, the one part where we once we start kind of collectively finding clips or like some stupid happens, we kind of clip it, and we have like our bronzy play, and you know what we consider kind of a pro play. You know, you get to see our mentality of what we think is a bronze play and what we think is a pro play. So I ended up clipping a couple things, and I'll talk about it and go over it and see what you guys think. But this is my bronzy play. Now, Vulcan has done this way too many times in almost every EG game, and it's starting to get super frustrating because this is technically a turning point in the game for G2 versus EG. EG was holding their own against G2. They were having their moments of, okay, we can actually win this game. Play smart, you know, be smart. Impact has turned into a flipping monster on the Mordekaiser, and it's looking like, okay, EG can win the game. Let's go, EG can win. But right here you have Danny farming in mid lane. You have the Kalista recalling, which they can't necessarily see. You have Inspired, Jojo, Pune, Vulcan, and Danny all in the mid lane with Jojo, Vulcan, and Inspired in the upper river. Plenty of ward coverage from the river. None of it on the blue side, near blue or behind the turret or anything. Impact is bot lane, and Caps is top lane. Everybody's just kind of farming. So if you look at it, they're like, okay, maybe they'll do something against Danny. Oh, nothing's going to happen. They see Broken Blade in mid. They have, at this point, because there is no vision, they have no idea where Yankos is, where Targamas is, and where Caps are. Yankos and Targamas slip into the river brush right in front of Pixel, which the pink ward and the Pixel brush doesn't see them. On the mini-map, it's hard to tell, but you have Jojo Pune and Inspired already leaving. They're like, okay, nothing's happening. Danny's not getting jumped. It's just Broken Blade. Let's go collect the farm top lane. The Cap's pushed out. You know, Lee Sin's going to go hover the mid laner, make sure he doesn't get killed, so on and so forth. So Vulcan's like, oh, you know what? I think I can ward. No, you can't ward because guess what? G2 comes out of the bush and just jumps Vulcan. And because that happens, Danny tries to support him. And the game's over at that point. They instantly burst down Ezreal and Leona. They get the kill on Jojo Pune, who showed up. Impact TP's in. G2 gets Baron. And they essentially lose the game off of that play. In my opinion, it's a Bronzie play because you have no idea where anybody is. Everybody's been constantly fighting, whether you survive or you don't survive. And G2's been known to just kind of sit around and wait to see what happens. Like how as Vulcan, because he died earlier, going through a Hex gate, not knowing where any of the enemy is, and instantly gets blown up. So it's like, how do you make that play a second time in the game where you have just gotten back to the point of we can potentially win this?
This is going to be super insensitive, but can we start with the initial Bronzy play here? Danny's on Ezreal.
Yeah.
Bronzy draft.
And you have Nautilus, Kaisa on the other side. So even though Kaisa went back to base, she is close enough by the time the hook hits that she just ultis right into the fight. Yanko's instantly in there. Caps is instantly in there. So many leaps, jumps. She got Ornn blowing ulti. Like they are 100% caught on this play. And it ultimately lost them the game.
So, and I think initially you were making the argument like they had no idea that these players are in there. But
and he was walking up to ward that banana brush. You have a pink in the upper right of mid in that brush, and you have a pink in the pixel brush, and you have a ward on Baron. You know for a fact, if you were to recall, there's no way they're going to be doing Baron without you knowing. So what is the point of trying to sweep that upper side banana brush?
Well, and this is just one, like, to make the argument they don't know they're in there. If you've got Impact here, okay, so he's farming at, your, second turret over here. So they're not going to go kill Impact, right? There's no benefit to them going over there. Dragon isn't up for another 3 minutes, so they're not playing on the red side of the jungle. And you just saw Caps in the top lane, and you could probably guess he's not going to push that much farther past the river. Maybe you're making the argument, oh, Caps has been hard pushing everything. You can maybe catch him out with Rise. Even if Caps isn't part of this play, you can almost guarantee by the positioning of Impact here, and the fact that they have nothing to do there on that bottom side, the only place that they are going to be doing anything is in that blue side. You can guarantee Caps is near. At this point, you would probably know that Flackert has already recalled and would be walking that direction. So the argument of you don't know they're in there, but you can make probably a pretty good educated guess. Like that's the only place they should be. That's not even they were where they surprised me. Well, where else were they gonna be?
Really? Well, yeah, you just saw Caps push out that wave. You know, maybe your mindset is, okay, he's resetting. We haven't seen Kaisa because Ornn is clearing mid lane. Maybe she's resetting. The most you could have is Yankos and Targamas. But it's just one of those, it's a play you see all the time in our ranked games where someone thinks that they can walk into a bush because, oh, nobody should be here. I mean, I've done it. You've done it. Penn's done it. There's no way anybody's been here. You know, they should all be gone. But what's funny is the positioning that G2 has, not saying that they're like, oh, someone's going to walk into this bush. Their positioning is like, okay, let's potentially go clear out some wards, maybe scare Danny away from mid. You know, maybe Broken Blade can get something with his ulti. So they were already kind of positioning to go be aggressive towards mid lane. So it's just, you can call it one of those unfortunate plays of Vulcan's just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. But you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wards all over this area. There's no reason for you to go sweep a ridiculous banana brush when you have all this ward coverage to keep Danny safe. At all.
I mean, the big lesson here is supports. It's dangerous to go alone. Bring a friend.
And then because of the attack onto Vulcan, Jojo hits his ulti, which I forgot about that. Jojo hits his ulti, and guess who decides to take it? Well, that's the Lee Sin. Oh, Lee Sin blew stopwatch because, Nautilus ultied him. Well, there goes the team fight. 3 dead. Lee Sin's completely useless. Mordekaiser had a TP in. They bursted him in less than 8 seconds. And then the game was over at that point. They got the Baron, and they said the game's over. We're done. Mordekaiser just doesn't do shit anymore. So that's my bronze play of the of MSI so far. And then it's not a crazy pro play. There's nothing too insane. So this is my other side of it where I'm like, okay, this is definitely a pro thing to do. This is something we've talked about multiple times today. So I just wanted to showcase it for anybody who's seeing it live or watching on YouTube. This is what RNG does best. You can see Nocturne has the Rift Herald. RNG is posting up and putting pressure on mid lane. So everybody's like, let's funnel in mid. They're going to place the Herald since everybody's here. You have Kalista already trailing up. Tristana's like, I'm going to keep pushing down here. Who cares? You guys can drop it. But that wasn't their play because Nocturne is down there on the mini map. He's down in the middle of the river over by Dragon Pit, cutting off Kalista from coming up. And then that's when PSG go, oh, they're not dropping Herald in mid. But wait, we're getting completely cut off from bot lane because RNG gets the coverage to keep them from going bot. The jungler drops Rift Herald bot lane for Gala and just feeds him the plates. Everybody's way too late to get down here. He gets 4 turret plates and just walks right out. And RNG has been doing that all MSI long. They go down, force the pressure onto the bot lane, maybe get a kill or two, and force bot lanes to be scared. They force them away from the turrets. They let Gala do whatever the hell he wants to do in bot lane, get as many plates as he wants, and experience, and just they keep bot lanes from doing anything. And I wanted to showcase that.
Do me a favor and back up about 10 seconds.
Here.
About there before Rift Herald hits, and they're still showing gold. So they actually I love the fact that the observers switched over. Like if you continue playing, they switch over to gold before Rift Herald hits here. So he's at 940 gold. He ends this play at 1280 gold. That's the equivalent of a kill. Yeah. Like they just killed bot lane without killing bot lane.
Yeah, 940 to 1280. By the time he goes back to base, because he doesn't even recall off of that. He stays to clean up more of the wave, because guess what? They're putting pressure on. They were starting to put pressure on another part of the map. And so they're like, oh shit, we gotta go save this. And he just sits there, just like, okay, I'll go back at like 1400, 1500 gold, compared to you're like 800 gold. And to be fair, he was down 400 gold. But because
they killed him,
because RNG was showed support mid, showed the jungler, like they had the Herald, so like, oh, support's here, let's pull down jungler, support, and mid laner, protect mid lane because they're gonna drop Herald. The jungler wasn't even there. He was down by Dragon Pit, and he's like, okay, you guys want to all show up there? Hey, everybody start spreading out, cut off their blue side, keep them from coming down and protect this, and just set up Gala to carry in that game. So that's just something that I wanted to showcase, that RNG, and they've done it in so many games. They've done it against T1, against G2, everybody. They're like, okay, let's force mid lane or bot lane away, give Gala everything he needs, and that's kind of what G2 did. EG did. Sorry. EG did during the LCS. They're like, let's go pressure bot lane. Let's force them away from the tower, get Danny going. But they're not doing that this time. So, we talked about our picks earlier with, T1 RNG G2 EG and RNG T1 G2 in Saigon. If we look at the standings, our top three are well and truly there. Right now, RNG's leading it. T1 second, G2 tied with them, and EG fourth. I mean, this is where I wish Daisy was here so I could gloat a little bit. But
You can gloat at me because I also picked VCS to take fourth.
So Saigon, my man, we haven't really talked about them because, truth be told, there's nothing to talk about them. What happened?
I don't know. They got shit on. They've not shown the signs of life they showed during the group stages where they were taking the fight to everyone. Just good old 0-6.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't end out 0-10 or 0 whatever.
12.
Yeah, however many games are left.
Double round. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. 11. Yeah, because it's a double round robin. Right.
0-10 because
no.
there's 5 other teams.
Oh yeah,
Five
they
other
played a
teams,
couple. Yeah, they already started the second half of the round robin today. So yeah.
One thing I will give them is they have their playstyle and they've stuck with it. That playstyle seems to just not be as effective against the
Current
upper
competition.
teams. Yeah, like when they're playing up against people who are just going to shut them down on the decisions they do make, they do seem to have an issue with it. I don't think they're going to be 0-10 if that's the fear. I wholeheartedly think they're going to pick up at least one win. And unfortunately for me and my standing, I would be willing to bet that's going to be against DG. But I think they'll pick up a win, but just their play style is just not working against the upper teams. But kudos for them to sticking to it.
I mean, you never know. They could end up playing spoiler against some of the upper teams.
Yeah, I mean
It's
that's
happened before.
that's all they can do at this point, right?
Was it VCS used to be known as like the Korean and China killers? They'd come in and just wipe the floor with them on occasion.
I mean, I could see definitely an oversight. What was it? It was Buffalo playing the fog game earlier. It was playing the Vayne top. They were like, I
Mhm.
think they just picked Scion because like they weren't afraid to. I can definitely see that biting one of the upper teams in the butt. So I'd imagine they pick up a win.
Hey, I mean, it does make me wonder what Broken Blade actually wanted to play into the vein versus his coach saying, "Yeah, just take Scion and don't die. Good luck." But we'll
The
never
world
know.
may never know.
Yeah.
But I bet it was fucking phenomenal, whatever it was.
But as of right now, I mean, is T1 going to get out of their slump against RNG? I mean, granted, they only have one loss against RNG and one against G2. But T1 has looked they looked a little shaken up after their first loss against G2.
I think what I called it earlier was that T1 finishes out strong. I don't think they lose another game, and then they end up tied up with RNG up there, and we got a tiebreaker or we got a tied first on there. My only reason for thinking that is T1 has the mentality of as the tournaments progress, they become more and more like unbeatable. It almost seems to the point by the time they get to the finals, it's almost impossible to beat them. The 3-0 whatever team is unfortunate enough to make it to the end of there. So I would imagine right now, as far as Rumble stage goes, if I had to predict anything, T1 wins out the rest of their games and ties up with RNG here. So I would imagine they pull out of their slump. Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, you would like to see T1 keeping up the domination, like they were showing in the LCK, and maybe it was just LCK teams just haven't stepped up to the T1's level, but MSI has shown there are teams that are higher or can keep up with T1, and that's what they're learning. Maybe the second round gets better for them. We still have to see G2 and T1 face again. Same with RNG and T1. So you never know. I will have to say PSG, potentially has started the comeback to take fourth because they ended up beating G2 today. Granted, I think they lost to RNG in the next game, which was expected, honestly. Maybe EG needs to really... They might need to take a game off of someone who's not PSG or Saigon to keep fourth. If PSG, can keep showing up against everybody, maybe they'll take a game off of EG and make it a real barn burner for fourth. Because I think, to be fair, I think the top three are solidified. RNG, T1, G2. I don't... Maybe one of them drops to fourth, but I don't see either one of those three teams not making it to the next stage.
I think we'd be hard pressed to see that happen, but you never know, I guess. I do think that G2 has a couple more losses in them, but I just think they're playing intelligently, I guess, outside of the
Outside of the
picking
two
Scion
today.
to the vein. Yeah, outside of the two today. I don't imagine them continuing to lose into games they should win.
Yeah. I think that maybe they'll go back to how they played, the first, 24 games, 21 games. So they, the 21-0 before they finally lost their two today. Maybe they're like, yeah, let's try a little something different. And it was not the play, unfortunately. Obviously we're still going to, jump at everybody based on what their original 4 picks were. Daisy and Pen, Saigon.
Looking awful rough for you guys there.
If you were to pick a new top 4 based on what you see today, with 2 more days of games left, what would be your new top 4, Pen?
I think I'll leave the top 3 the same. And with how PSG played today, I might give them 4th place. While EG's looking decent, if they don't go back to playing like themselves, they're gonna have a real rough time in the next 2 days.
Yeah? You think so? You think PSG has finally learned what they needed to do?
I think so. They killed one of the giants.
I mean,
So the only thing left to do is go up again, right?
was it they killed the giants, or was it a
Or did the
caster
giants-
curse?
It happens. It's happened twice.
I don't
Give
know.
us
Somebody
a
find
third
the script.
time, it'll be a pattern. Yeah, find the script.
What about you, Mr. Panda Man? Do you want to change your top 4 from T1, RNG, G2, EG?
No, I think I think I'm still pretty set on where my top four land. I still stand by. I think EG and PSG end up tied at the end of this, but EG holds the head-to-head on it. Um, I imagine PSG probably does look up from here, um, but I don't think they're going to take the fourth. Unfortunately, I think they're going to stick around where they're at.
Okay. So that leads us to the next stage, semifinals. Semifinals and finals will be played before our next recording, because finals is next Sunday. So based off of that, based off of your top four, right? So for Curtis, T1, RNG, G2, EG. They came out and said whoever places first chooses who they face in the semifinals between third place or fourth place. So if you look at your four as T1, do you take G2 or EG?
Wait. Oh yeah, T1 was my one, aren't they?
Yeah.
I did say that RNG and T1 would tie. I think if T1 has an option, they're gonna take EG on that.
100%.
I don't think there's a reason why they don't. I think they just take EG and they walk.
Or
the
do
only
you think it's a power move and you take G2 and just knock them out of the tournament?
No, and here's my reason. I think T1's initial instinct is to be like, we could beat EG or G2, and I think they're gonna know that. But their bank is gonna be they're not going to be positive that RNG can just wipe G2. So there's a world in which G2 could beat RNG. Um, and I just think that's how that's gonna be. And regardless of how I guess the 1-2 kind of matches up, what I would if I were sitting back and being the coaches and how I would take it, and if I was say RNG does take first, which I know is not mine, I would recommend them take G2 anyways, because I think I said earlier, EG and RNG, if they play their play style, play very similarly. So there's no point in RNG trying to take EG and then risk possibly like EG's just in form that day.
Okay. Ben?
I can agree with that. I think whoever takes first place just takes EG.
Well,
It'd be the easy ride.
you have PSG.
Or PSG, either way. The way I'm just looking by the sayings now, EG. If it ends up being PSG Talon, I think whoever's in first takes them anyway, because it's the easier of the two matchups. They let the other two top ranked teams duke it out and play cleanup afterwards.
Okay.
Because it'd
No,
be
see, that's
it's
where
a mentality game.
that's where I think it's wrong. Like where I think if RNG does take first, I think they wholeheartedly select G2 over EG. Just because why risk the clash of EG and RNG who have the same style? Oopsie, EG's playing well today, and they beat us at our own game. If I'm RNG, I'd want to play G2 over EG.
You wouldn't want to have G2 face T1 to take T1 out and then...
No, because I think RNG would look at T1 and G2 as comparable. Like I think if RNG sit back and they're looking at them, they're going to be just as scared of G2 as they are of T1. So that doesn't matter. I just think EG is the wild card specifically against RNG, and only because they're the only two teams that if they play their play style, play through bot lane.
Okay. So I will say off of my top four, if T1 takes it, I think that they'll take EG because I think it's just going to be an easy win based on how the games have been going against EG. And they'll want and hope that G2 takes out RNG in the other game because I think it would mean more to T1 if they could win the finals against G2 versus if they won it against RNG. Even though RNG, is the returning champions and whatnot, it'd mean more for the rivalry for T1 to beat G2 in the finals over facing them in the semis. But So as we look to end the podcast, since we are meeting up after MSI is over, who are your MSI champions? I don't need second or third or fourth. Just who will be the MSI winner?
Okay, I'm gonna go against my rankings here, and I think the reigning champs unfortunately got this one. I think RNG actually takes it. I just think in a best of 5 situation, RNG is just terrifying. Don't get me wrong, Faker is god tier in a best of 5. I just think RNG's got it.
Okay. Pen.
Agreed. I think RNG's got it. They've been the most consistent. It feels like throughout the tournament. They play their style. They play it well.
Okay. So this one is a tough one, and I will go crazy with this one. Okay, I'm not gonna go super crazy and say EG is gonna be the winner, because that's let's be real. Like, if they make it to the
Of
semis,
course.
congratulations to them. You made it farther than anybody thought you were gonna make it. Good job. I think so. RNG has a great way through. They know what they're doing. They're very thorough with their macro. They're very thorough in their games, their pick bans, stuff like that. They did falter to G2. Hopefully, some of the other teams can figure out what the hell G2 did, which, to be fair, G2 just smashed their face against RNG the whole game. They said, here's a Wombo combo. You guys have to figure out how to defeat it. We're just going to keep throwing it at you, and we're going to make it work. If G2 can clean up what happened today, kind of go back to how they went on their 21 game winning streak, I think G2 can win it.
So are you thinking the
I have
games
G2
today are G2's losses, or the losses today for G2 are a fluke, or just them playing poorly today?
I think they played poorly. And the reason I say that is because we've seen teams do this before. And it's a little bit different for like RNG and T1. Like T1 mainly came out and said we were kind of nervous playing against G2. We didn't know what the hell they were doing. They ended up losing, right? RNG came into the matchup going, we're the best in the league right now. Overall, heads over tail, best team right now. Too cocky, ended up losing. G2 went in today going, we're on a 21 plus game streak. We're the best team because we beat RNG and T1. And PSG said, oh, you're going to not pick a team fight comp that you've been doing the whole time, but we're going to. I think G2 got too cocky. And it showed in these two games. They got overzealous, and they stumbled. And I think as long as they recognize what happened, they'll go back to that just dominant play style that they were having. Hey, if you don't deal with what the hell we're doing to you, you're going to lose the game. And they didn't do that in those two games today. So I think if they go back to that, I'm putting them down as my winner. If they can go back to that.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
Not saying, RNG isn't a really strong pick either.
I mean, clearly, like that's literally just picking. That's just looking at like who's currently ahead and going that way. So
Yeah. All right. Well, so unfortunately, Daisy had to step away. We'll have to grab his predictions and see if he wanted any of his top 4 changes in the throughout the week and discuss it in the next podcast. Hopefully everything's good with him. It's been great talking with you guys, going over all of this. The Rumble stage is still going on. There's still 2 more days. Tonight, Sunday night, Monday night, I believe. Semifinals happening on the 27th and 28th, and finals on the 29th. So it'll be kind of an action-packed weekend. The 29th, I might be playing the prediction game for the finals, where even though I know who the 2 teams are, you guys might have to give me a lineup, and I have to guess which, who picked what, because I do have a birthday party that day. So
You say that, but I'm at work all day that day.
Yeah. So a couple of us might not be able to catch all those games that day. So we'll be doing a lot of fun guessing games that day. But
I have a feeling Daisy's about to get his revenge for today's game. It's about to happen.
he will. But thank you all for listening to the Bronzie Breakdown. It's just a podcast where a bunch of friends talk about nonsense, and we have fun doing it. We just decided to record it. It is recorded live on twitch.tv/temporarymaniac. We do post the VOD on YouTube if you're watching it on YouTube. It is on Spotify, Amazon. We're working on getting on Google, and it's Amazon, Spotify, Google. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and visit the Twitch channel so you can catch it live. Any and all questions that are posted on any of those sites, we'll take a look at and answer in the next podcast. So everybody, have a good night.